All right, back on. My guest is Dr. Jerry Rose, and somewhere in here I got a Ray Crystal. Hello, Ray.
Yeah, hi, Clay. Uh, Jerry, could you start? You went to Hofstra University in New York, and you were telling me when you used to go down with your family to Florida, how you saw the colored versus the white drinking fountains, and how that touched you as a young girl.
Oh my
And
God.
this war on marijuana is a war on races, a racist war, and the creation of the marijuana word. But
Can we get
talk a little bit
something
about that.
straight? Let's just start with let's start with the reality. God made us. God made the human race. There's only one race here, folks. It doesn't matter whether you got more melanin or less melanin. You're a human being, a member of the human race. There are no other races. Everybody, every single group has good and bad within them. Every group. Nobody's got a patent on being good, and nobody's got a patent on being bad. Every group has intelligence. Every group has athletes. Every group has the capacity to excel, and every group has the capacity to be idiots. So,
It's called free
we're one
will, isn't
human race. You
it?
go down, and we had apartheid in South Africa. We had segregation in the South. These were horrible political and sociological statements by people of trying to rule other people, and that's what slavery is. It's wrong. It is wrong to enslave anybody.
They
And the
have
14th Amendment turned us all into slaves with a social security system, with a social security number. It turned us all into slaves to a federal government that was supposed to be a result of the individual states. All of these individual states agreed that they would be represented by one government, and they united in their relationship to the rest of the world. That was the concept for the United States of America. And unfortunately, the South thought that it had to have slaves in order to, and so they instituted slavery and kept it. And when there was a war to try and end slavery, it was also a war to end the sovereignty of the individual states. And
that was. I think that was more about it than the slave. The North had slaves too, and they have refined the art of slavery to the point that the slaves today don't know they're slaves. I'm not a slave. I can go get my pickup, go get a beer. Watch. It's called economic slavery, and by stealing this hemp and hiding it under marijuana. Yeah, it had. By stealing that was a ripoff of the whole economy of this country.
They're always talking about hemp. Hemp is rope. It is, and hemp ties it all together. It doesn't hang us, folks. It ties it all together. Hemp is the basis of it all. And hemp is absolutely the basis of it all. Because when you have a family farm growing hemp, and the farmer can take to market, the ability for him to produce fuel, the ability for him to produce clothing and paper, these are the things the city needs. And when the farmer produces this, the farmer's economy is land-based. These people who have oil under their land, they're sucking. We don't even know what it is. They say it's ancient forests and ancient dinosaurs. Who knows? We don't know. This stuff was underneath the ground.
There is.
We use it in hydraulic things, right? What does it do? It has a buffering effect to create hydraulics. Well, what do you think it's doing in the planet? It's under the tectonic plates. It acts as a buffer. We have bursas in our body, little sacs of hydraulic fluid that keep our joints from rubbing together. Well, I think that's what oil does at its pockets on the planet. And we're endangering our whole planet by sucking this stuff out and putting it in the air where we're breathing it and where we're keeping the sun from coming in. It's just gross. And here we could be growing a plant that reverses all of that. We wouldn't be losing our polar bears. We wouldn't lose our polar ice caps, we'd be living naturally, and we'd have what we need to run our engines. You know, we want to get around. We love our inventions, and if we want our fuel. You know, I understand it. I'm just as loving of. I love technology.
If your family, if you had a little 5-acre farm, you're growing your hemp on there, and you're growing your other food on there too. You can run a plastic tube around your property, run water through it, put algae in it, which is about the only thing that grows faster than hemp, and create your own fuel. I mean, we could be living in harmony with nature instead of fighting it.
Yeah, you get 1,000 gallons of fuel from each acre of hemp. And so I live on 3 acres, so I could be getting 3,000 gallons of fuel, which means because of I know how much gasoline I use, I know how many gallons of gasoline I use a year. I don't use maybe I use 3,000 gallons in a whole year, which means that since in Hawaii I can grow maybe 3 crops a year, I could export 6,000 gallons of fuel to my neighbors in Hilo to run the buses that could give us, you know, free public transportation that would actually function. You know.
That's right.
And not everybody needs a car. Farmers need cars. Oh, but they don't need cars. They need trucks. And that's all I got is trucks because I'm kind of like a farmer. I'm a little mini farmer, but I don't grow hemp because it's not legal. But you know, I have my goats, and I gotta give them food. If I grew hemp, I could give them food better. You know, it's easier to feed them. They'd love hemp.
What's happened with the sovereignty movement in Hawaii?
Well, there are Hawaiians who wish that there weren't any Europeans here, but you know, you can't unscramble the egg. You know.
Yes.
You can't unscramble the egg. But you know, and people, it's just natural for humans to migrate and go places. So, you know, Europeans came here, that's a bad thing. It's just how they interacted with the natives that was the bad thing. I mean, if you're going to go somewhere, be a guest, you know, put down roots, fine. But don't destroy the culture that's there before you, you know. Find out about it, interact with it, you know, find out what's good about it. There were good things about Hawaiian culture, and there were bad things. There are good things about European culture, and there are bad things. So the Hawaiians respected the earth, but they weren't so respectful of women. For example, they had really nasty laws against women on some levels in their society. So that was unfortunate, but, you know, they could have, I mean, let's face it, the Europeans didn't come over here with a good record of that either. I mean, you know, women have taken a blow since patriarchy started. So, you know, and we have to recognize, you know, the reason the earth is represented as female is because the earth has many of the qualities that women are supposed to have, which is, and men have these qualities too, it's just that women are the enactors of it more, because we're the ones who get to take care of the babies, so we got to be more nurturing. And of course, men can be nurturing too, but men are supposed to nurture by using their strength to protect. This is the nature of the family unit. As I said, the family unit is the basis of society. If you don't have a way for family units to thrive, you know, if you're going to brave new world where people are created in test tubes, you know, you're just creating a slave society of people who don't ever really know what it is to be human. I mean, being human means being able to be proud of your life, including being happy to have children to go on from you, not being in denial of your mortality.
Okay, now I agree with everything that you're saying here, but how do we return to this? How do we strengthen the family? You know, the attack on Waco, I mean, this was,
please.
You know, this is what got me started looking at everything that was happening. And, you know, I wanted to know, this isn't Red China. How could this happen in America? How could this happen? Where was the Texas Rangers? Where was the sheriff, how could they let this happen? How do we change this? Now, because everybody's got their own little way of viewing things. It's like I said, when I talked to Christian identity pastors, I had a pastor drop off my show because I was advocating the legalization of marijuana and the replanting of hemp across America, and suddenly, and he doesn't understand when the Bible says that God gave us every plant on earth for our benefit, and the Bible talks about a plant of renown. So how do we focus all of these factors here?
Well,
divide and conquer is what they've done to us.
We have to start by recognizing the wisdom of our country. Our country was founded on some really, really good principles. The principle of each individual having liberty. And if we allow government to interfere with how we run our lives on an individual basis, I mean, no human being should be put in jail for anything they put in their body. I don't advocate that people drink coffee, but I'm not going to create a government in which people are thrown in jail for drinking coffee. And it's a drug, folks, and it destroys you. But all I would do if I were president, I would run informational things. I would see to it that people understood what evils they're involved with when they bring certain chemicals into their body that are. I don't want to keep them from doing it though.
Let me
be allowed to make your choice with your body.
And let me give my audience here some figures here, folks. Annual American deaths from tobacco is about 400,000. Alcohol, 100,000. All the legal drugs out there, about 20,000. All the illegal drugs, about 15,000. Caffeine, this cup of coffee I'm drinking right here, 2,000 people die from caffeine, and 500 from aspirin. Guess how many have died from marijuana?
No, nobody dies from cannabis unless a bale of hemp falls on them.
Okay.
I mean, the thing is, when you talk about even the numbers that you're talking about are skewed because people don't recognize that the reason, for example, why do women get osteoporosis? Well, women when they drink coffee, that demineralizes the bones, and causes the adrenal glands to overfunction. So that when they go into menopause, the woman no longer has the ability to produce the estrogen that balances her loss of estrogen from her now retired reproductive system.
No.
Because she's no longer producing that estrogen. She no longer has strong bones. So every time a woman falls apart because of osteoporosis, nobody's saying, oh, that comes from coffee. So all of those deaths go unreported, you see. So, you don't realize how bad coffee really is and how much it's costing our country to allow the citizens to think that, there's no bad effects from that cup of Java every morning. And I live on an island where a lot of people grow coffee, so they're not going to be happy to hearing this. But the truth of the matter is, it's not a good thing for humans to use. But but it's your choice. It must be your choice. If we understand the concept of freedom, what does freedom mean? What does it mean to be a free human being? It means a person who can make the choices in their life regarding themselves that do not damage or harm the neighbors. So if you're going to smoke a cigarette, please don't do it where I have to breathe in the side stream smoke. Now, if you're gonna drink alcohol, I'm not gonna complain because there's no side stream, particles in the air. But if you get into a car while you're drunk, you're under my. You may be impacting me because you may impact me because you're not fit to drive a car. I mean, you have to come from that point of view of. Where do we stop recognizing liberty? We stop it when it's harming somebody else.
The problem here. What you're outlining, what you're saying here, it springs to my mind that the problem here is victimless crimes. Laws creating victimless crimes. If there is no corpus delicti, there is no crime.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the basis of habeas corpus. It's the basis of our system. And it was a good system. It's well thought out. It was based on recognizing the abuses that had happened under monarchies. Why are we now going back to the fascism of monarchy, of
our founding fathers? Our founding fathers thought the new world order of their day. The sun never sets on the English Empire.
Exactly.
And what they're trying to do right now is turn us into a global empire. But if it's not based on the people,
we have to have the right to grow hemp. We have to have the right to make our own money, not have it owned by a so-called Federal Reserve that has nothing federal and nothing reserved.
Founding Fathers told us if you ever allow a private bank to issue your money, your children will grow up homeless in the land that we conquered. And it doesn't matter. It to me, and the Founding Fathers, they also gave us the First Amendment. That's a right to worship any way we please. So if you want to stick your nose in the dirt and stick your ass up in the air and bow to Mecca, no problem, bud. You just get out there in your backyard and do that. Don't expect me to do it. That's individual liberty.
When you brought back religion, we got to remember Roger, who's in jail for doing nothing more than distributing a sacrament according to his conscience and his awareness of the fact that it was needed for health and the spiritual uplifting of the poor whom he served.
Now, don't you have medical marijuana in Hawaii?
Okay. There is medical marijuana in, I think, 18 states now, but the feds are still claiming there's no medical use. So the feds still are coming in. So the minute you say, do you have it in Hawaii? Well, we don't have it anywhere in truth, because in truth, any medical user can be, all of a sudden, the door is kicked down by the federal agents, and they're dragged out and put in jail and not allowed their medicine, because for them it's medicine. This is horrific what's happening. And this is happening. I mean, it's we've got Donald Lambert in California, we've got Eddie Lepp, we've got sick people in jail denied their medicine on the pretext that they are doing something illegal because they're using an herb. I mean, don't get me started. It gets me too angry. We don't flourish when we're angry. Roger is a good man. He doesn't belong in jail. Eddie Lepp doesn't belong in jail. Donald Lambert shouldn't be having to make a deal to keep herself out of jail, because the woman is sick. She's a delightful human being who gets her energy and has managed to keep herself alive by smoking an herb. An herb, people, a plant. It's just a plant. And it doesn't harm anybody. It can be abused. Anything can be abused. Most of you are fat because you're abusing food. That's the glut of this nation. Most of you can't go into your garages because they're full of so much crap, because you are consumers, all of you. And, let's look at ourselves. Look at what we do. And you go to other countries and they don't have anything. I mean, it's the imbalance in us globally is insane. So, and every place has the ability to produce what it can for its people, and people need to get under control so they don't overpopulate and create a glut of humans that makes scarcity. Because the hemp plant teaches us, because it is so prolific, the hemp plant teaches us through the herb, it makes us feel generous. Through the plant, it gives us, it's generous.